Hello, welcome. My name is Anselm Hook. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the chance to participate and to help run this event. I've been looking at money for a while now. Mozilla had, when I was working there, had asked me to research the topic, and I just became very interested in it. It's become a bit of an odyssey in a sense. I put now a good year into this, coming up on a year now. So what I want to talk about, what I'm interested in, as I looked more at this, was I started to notice that there are some things that we do when we are building new currencies, playing with digital tokens, and what that is that I think that in a sense, we're creating new spaces. We're creating new universes where people can participate. I'm going to run through some examples really quickly. Trevor Jones and Jose Delbo sold an NFT non-fungible token for $200K. And this art collaboration is kind of interesting in itself. They're exploring an idea of how artists, where ownership is, and yet then also in the process of exploring this idea, they effectively drew a lot of attention to a new marketplace where this piece of art was sold. For me, that is very interesting because it's not just the art that I find interesting, but the creation of the space itself that the art resides in. I like the thought that when we create, we end up creating new spaces too. Just something about that for me seems really magical. If we look at some of the more traditional spaces, we see now there's this huge tension between Apple and Epic Mega Games. Apple has a walled garden. It's very successful. They've done a great job with their product. And yet now, 10 years down the road, other people want not to pay the fees that they're being asked to pay. I believe for a new game, you're paying 30% of your revenue to Apple if you put it on the App Store, and then after the second year or first year, it goes down to 15%. But it's still, money you shouldn't necessarily have to pay when you think about it, because the web costs are quite low. And really, what are you getting for that walled garden? So Epic believes that they deserve more revenue, and they're pushing on Apple. And it's an interesting example of how a space that was created by one party is now becoming something that someone else wants to get into. Another project that I was really a fan of was XRP Tipbot. It's a little bit older, and it's funny how we think about traditional cryptocurrencies versus new. But for a traditional cryptocurrency, it does something interesting, which is it lets anyone give anyone else tiny amounts of money. And money at this level becomes less of a, I'm going to pay my rent with it, and more just kind of a signal. It's an appreciation. It's a little bit different from upvoting because upvotes are cheap. But if you give someone real money, it's a real indicator that you care, because obviously it's not free. And also it's a way to kind of separate out spam. You can, as a third party, see that someone got some money, and that is a more clear indicator that that person is providing real value, not that they didn't just buy a ton of upvotes. So I find this interesting, and I find the way it builds community to be interesting as well. I'm doing my own game. This is a pre-alpha. You're welcome to try it if you wish. In this game, I'm letting people give each other tiny rewards. You can issue a challenge, and then you can get you can give yourself, or rather give anyone else, a reward if you like their response. And here I'm playfully exploring almost a kind of oblique to-do lists or tiny chores. And again, here, in a sense, I've made a space, or I'm trying to build a forum that encourages people to engage in a certain behavior. Now, I think it doesn't just apply to virtual worlds. I think it applies to real worlds too. Seasteading community, sometimes people can make fun of them because it feels unrealistic. But there's a sincere attempt to try and build a new place with new values. And also, you'll find in these efforts that people are also building new currencies. And there's a powerful role that when you build a new space, you're building new rules, And new kinds of currencies are a way to formalize the policies or rules that help guide a space. Now, I'm going to close with an observation, which is that what's happening is that almost always when we're trying to produce some outcome, we're effectively trying to create a new world or a new vision. It seems like if we can find a way to formalize and think about what we're doing and turn it into a ledger almost, and just to perhaps playfully, perhaps consensually, but to kind of sincerely track and engage with the activity of the people in our world, and including even non-human stakeholders too, we can produce the outcomes we want more clearly. In fact, as architects of space, we have this tool of a ledger that helps us succeed. And that's really where I wanted to go with this brief talk. What we're going to do now is break out and talk about new kinds of money. What kinds of money could we invent? Perhaps there's things that you might like to do and share and build, and perhaps this might give you some ideas for that. So let's go off to our sessions together. Thanks.